Here with analysis, Russia program fellow at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Ivana Stradner, along with Dan Rice, the president of America University, Kyiv, and former special advisor in the Ukraine Armed Forces. Thank you both for being here. Ivana, I'd like to start with you. Your reaction to the Trump-Zelensky European Leaders Summit this week, happening just 3 days after President Trump met with Putin in Alaska. And yesterday, the president even saying he thought this conflict was going to be one of the easier ones to solve. It was going to be right in the middle of the pack of all those conflicts that he's solved so far, but it's turned out to be much more difficult. Are we any closer to ending this war today?
President Trump wants peace. Putin wants more war because he's sure that he can win this. This is a protracted war for him, and he believes that time is on his horizon. I'm very glad that President Trump gave another deadline that I hope it will be enforced, which is 2 weeks. Every time when we give a chance to Putin, he gives us a gift, to put in quotation mark, by firing more missiles to Ukraine, as well as waging a hybrid war against the West. All you really need to know about Putin's intentions, it's also the fact that just a few days ago, Russia's missiles attacked American electronics factory in Ukraine. Having said that, President Trump has cards. We have to attack Russian center of gravity, which is economy as well as energy. And plus, the only security guarantees that we need a strong Ukrainian army, which means that we have to forget about this thing that Putin is the one, that he is the one, that he is going to just stop this war. He will not stop until he's stopped.
Dan, as Ivana just said, President Trump, he's waiting to see what happens over the next 2 weeks. The White House has ruled out boots on the ground as a security guarantee for Ukraine, though President Trump did say this week that the U.S. could provide air support. And one of the key negotiating points still centers around territorial exchanges or land swaps, as the president says, something Zelensky has long said was a non-starter. Are we actually going to see a Putin and Zelensky meeting with where things stand right now?
I don't think we are, Mike. I agree with Ivana on all of her points. I think Putin wants war. He continues to attack Ukraine at every major summit on the evening of it. That's clearly under his directive. He's attacking with 500, 600 Shaheeds, ballistic missiles. These are all attacking civilian targets. That's a big difference between Ukraine. Ukraine attacks military targets and energy targets within Russia. Russia only attacks civilian targets. I do not believe Putin wants peace. I think he and Lavrov, the foreign minister, play good Soviet, bad Soviet. Basically, Putin says yes to President Trump in person, and then Lavrov gets back and puts up a bunch of ridiculous demands, things that are never going to happen. They want it to be basically a Russian puppet like it was in 2014 under President Yanukovych. And Yanukovych fled because of the Maidan Revolution. And where did he flee to? Moscow. He was a Russian puppet. Putin wants that desperately. He's not going to get it. The Ukrainian people will not give up. They're not going to be a Russian puppet ever again. But this war will not end soon because Putin does not want it to. Just like Ivana said, we need to hit him hard economically, bigger sanctions, secondary sanctions to everybody taking the Russian oil. And we need to have to help support domestically produced missiles like the Flamingo, which is a long-range cruise missile made in Ukraine that's going to start hitting Russian targets quickly. Ukraine has hit 13% of the refineries in Russia in 1 month. At that rate, all the refineries in Russia will be gone within 6 months. So we are seeing the destruction of the energy infrastructure within Russia. That's what we need to end this war.
Ivana, President Trump has long said this is not his war. This is a war that started under Joe Biden. It would have never happened. Vladimir Putin would have never invaded Ukraine if he was president. When European leaders met with Trump here at the White House this week, they spoke about the speed at which he's trying to solve this war compared to the Biden administration. Take a listen.
I think in the past 2 weeks, we've probably had more progress in ending this war than we have in the past 3.5 years.
I think it is an important day, a new phase, after 3 years and a half that we didn't see any kind of sign from the Russian side that there was a willing for dialogue. So something is changing, something has changed, thanks to you.
A conflict which has gone on for 3 and a bit years, and so far nobody's been able to bring it to this point.
Ivana, would 20% of Ukraine be in Russian hands right now if we saw more strength under Joe Biden?
So we have to remember that this war actually started in 2014. President Biden's fears of possible escalations actually made this war worse. We should have armed Ukraine significantly faster and stronger. We would have not been here. But I also have to emphasize one thing. We have to think like Putin if we want to stop him. And he only understands one thing, which is the language of power. And that's precisely why I hope that President Trump, not only strong words, but his actions are going to bring this war sooner to the end. I'm not sure that this is going to end anytime soon, as we just heard before, but it's moving towards that direction. And I truly hope that within the next 2 weeks, President Trump will start punishing a Russian dictator.
Dan, real quick, we have 30 seconds left. Russia struck a U.S. factory in Ukraine this week in one of the largest attacks of the entire war. What does this say about Vladimir Putin's aspirations for peace? Is this a negotiating tactic, or is he just taunting America?
No, Mike, I don't think he wants peace, and I think that's just another piece of evidence. But this is not the first factory, American factory, that's been hit. Andy Hudner, the president of American Chamber of Commerce, says that over 50% of the American businesses claim that they have been hit. They're targeting not only American businesses, but they're targeting Russian business or Ukrainian businesses. The Russians want to destroy all of the economy within Ukraine, and so they're attacking all of the electronics factories, anybody that can actually create jobs and GDP. So they are trying to destroy. It's genocide. They're trying to kill Ukrainians. They're trying to kill Ukrainian economic activity. We need to stop this. We need to increase military aid. We need to increase sanctions fast, and secondary sanctions are the key to winning the war against India in particular. India will give up buying Russian oil if we hit them hard enough with secondary sanctions. That's the key.
All right, we'll know more in 2 weeks, says the president. Dan Rice, Ivana Stradner, appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.